Welcome back, YouTubers. Thanks for joining me on my drive to work. This is the fifth in a five-part series on just my bent perspective on what it's like to build supplier relationships in China. If you haven't seen the other parts, go back and check them out. Come back here, and then you'll understand how this discussion all fits together. How I see supplier relationships in China, very much like a marriage. So let's get after it. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. You miss out on more good content like this. Now, we've been married for a while. We've been doing business with this supplier for some time. Life is good. Business is good. It's been very stable. It's taken a little while, but we've got very stable production. Quality's good. Quality's stable. Business is good. Life is good. But we're starting to see some few changes. A few delays in delivery. A few quality problems. And not like usual, these quality problems are increasing. We've had a few repeat issues, which is not normal. We've started seeing replies to emails taking a long time. Having trouble trying to get feedback and response to our questions and problems for recovering a quality issue. What does this mean? What does this mean when the suppliers start to drift away and not talk to you as much? Let me put it this way. What can it mean if you're in a marriage and it's been beautiful, everything's happy, and you're always talking, and then you find, things seem to be changing. There's something different going on. You know, your husband's coming home later every day, spending more time at the office. No, he's distracted. He's not talking as much. He's a bit more grumpy at home than normal. Could these be signs that your marriage is having trouble? You're having arguments more often. Things don't get resolved very quickly. This happens with relationships in China, with your supplier relationships. There are problems, and you need to see them for what they are. And like any marriage, your relationship in China, your supplier relationship, it needs work. You need to spend time working on that relationship to keep it alive, keep it fresh, keep it good, keep it moving forward. Now in China, we see this, many people label these things like mystical. In China, they give it some creative names like guanxi. I call it just decency. Guanxi is seen by a lot of foreigners and Westerners as corruption, and you can't have corruption in your business. You know, giving too many gifts at the wrong time, having too many, trying to take people out for dinners and stuff, and thinking that's going to sway your whole decision on doing business. In China, going for dinner is when you have around the table like family dinner discussions. That's when you talk about business. That's when you talk about your relationship. That's where you talk about where your business is going, where my business is going, and what our dreams are. What do we want to get out of this? What are our hopes together? Just like you do in a family discussion or in a marriage. If your marriage is having trouble, you take your wife out to dinner. Show her you're sincere. Show her you want to engage with her and have no distractions, and talk to her and get involved. And remind her that you want to be in this relationship. You remind her what is good about this relationship. So a lot of the connection, a lot of the process here, I really see it like a marriage. The relationship with the supplier in China, it's very different. As I was saying, there's some signs that it's going sour, like late deliveries, bad quality, increasing bad quality, and all these sorts of things. Maybe they're taking much longer than normal to quote on a new product. You have to push them and chase them to try to get the quote. From when the beginning in the marriage, it was a live, exciting relationship, and they were venturing into a possible new, valuable customer for them. They would be working very hard. The quotations would come at you thick and fast. They would turn around a quotation 2 or 3 days. Now you're after a quotation from them and it's taking 2 months and you still haven't got a quote off them. These are all the signs that something's not right. It's not where it should be. Often in China it's because they're distracted. Like any relationship, you might find your partner gets a little bit distracted after some time. They're bored. They're not getting fulfilled from that relationship. And in China, you can see that in terms of the supplier relationship. Maybe they're not as profitable from your relationship, your business, as they expected. Maybe they got a lot more pressure because your quality team have put too much emphasis on some things that's alienated some of their team. This feeds back through the organisation to give you pressure. Maybe they had expectations and they didn't understand your business enough. And after 2 years, they expected your supply relationship to be much bigger in volume, much bigger in sales than it has been. Maybe your sales are taking a dive. Now, this is on the flip side. They will get stressed and worried and start trying to talk to you more if they start to think you're being distracted and they really want to engage with you. Just like you need to go and engage with them if they start to get distracted and lose interest. In a relationship, you've got to go and chase it to keep it alive. If you just sit back and let it just fade away, it will fade away and die. Just like any marriage. If you don't work at it, it won't survive. If your sales start to dwindle in your business for whatever reason, and then you're buying less from that supplier, they're going to see their sales drying up to you. They think they've done the right thing. They think they've been beautiful. They've delivered perfectly. Their quality is awesome. And they will get nervous because they will think you're distracted by some other potential, some better supplier, and you're starting to source away from them because you're getting it cheaper somewhere else. They will be hurt and disappointed that you didn't engage with them and work with them to improve that relationship, to give them an opportunity to keep that relationship. It's not a good thing in China to go and burn bridges like that and you just turn and walk away because you can get it cheaper somewhere else. That relationship is key in China. That friendship and commitment is key in China. If you stick to your supplier and you show them that commitment, when you're in trouble, they will be there for you. We've had many situations where we've had some major concerns on some issues. We suddenly got ourselves in a problem where we had critical orders that we had to try to turn around very quickly. And we were very, very fortunate because of our deeper relationship and our long-time connection with these suppliers. They turned things around and worked a lot of overtime to pull us out of trouble to fulfill some significant orders. So like any relationship, like any marriage, the supplier relationship in China, if you feel like things are fading from either side, you need to engage with them, you need to talk to them, you need to go and sit with them, you need to spend time with them, you need to refresh the relationship, reinforce the relationship to keep things on track. And make sure you're more interesting than the other opportunity. It's pointless to sit there and say, oh, he's terrible, he's cheating on me. Well, there's usually a reason for that. If your suppliers started turning away from you and finding some alternative, there's got to be some reason behind it. It doesn't happen just because that boss is obsessed with trying to make millions of dollars and he wants to just cut his losses and he'll just ignore you. I don't believe so. I've never met that situation yet. When you really sit there and talk to them and you refresh the situation and make sure they understand, things go back to normal. Remember when in the earlier part of this series, I mentioned sometimes the boss can be like the parent in deciding on, is that marriage going to go forward? Do they approve of the marriage? Just in the same way, if the boss here has a new customer that's become his obsession, his focus, and his people in his organization, he is talking more and more and more about a particular customer as being really important. The employees in his company will just automatically gravitate to that one account. They'll gravitate towards that customer as being the most important in the organization. People in China will follow the lead that the boss gives them. They will not want to upset the boss. The people will try to make sure they're doing the right thing, and they will focus most of their efforts on their priorities in their daily activity on that company that the boss is focusing on. So if they hear the boss having more conversations or getting more involved in your business, his team are going to focus on your products. So another key tip in China, if you can find a good connection with their boss and their team's managers, make sure they're engaged with you. That's where at the senior level of the company you need to work. You need to get them engaged, and you need their boss to be excited about the marriage. You need him to be sprouting good words about the marriage and the relationship and how important it is. Then, and only then, will his team give your company a priority and a good focus and a consistent focus in their business to deliver on time and make quality correct. So we've had the situation many times when if I haven't engaged enough on a regular basis with their boss, their manager, the owner of their company, where things started, if I don't engage with him on a regular basis just to keep things alive, to keep things fresh, keep him informed of what the direction of our business is and have good open dialogue, maybe at least once every 6 months or a year, visit them and have lunch with him. And we can have a dialogue and work through things and make sure both companies are having a good time together. If you don't do this, it will fade, because their boss will start to focus more on other products, other customers, talk more about other customers opening their business, and that dialogue from him signals to all of his team to put all their efforts onto those new customers. So a little key tip, keep the boss engaged. After some time, you've been trying to engage with them and they're not getting engaged. They're not getting back engaged with you. They're not talking to you. How do you know when it's too late to save the relationship? Just like in any marriage, there's always a time when you feel, it's not going to work. We've tried dialogue, we've tried this, we've tried to refresh things. We've had meetings with the boss, and we still find later their business is going south. They're not supporting us. We're still late on delivery from them. Now, their boss and their team, they are not in China going to come to you directly and say, we're sorry, but we're not liking this business anymore. We maybe want to give up. They will never come to you and tell you this. You have to read the signs. You have to watch for these things. Just like in any marriage, a lot of the times your partner, if it's going to break up, they will fade away and hopefully wait for you to go away. This is what's happening in China. Chinese don't like confrontation. They don't want to have that discussion. They don't want to have things sour, a sour situation. As a general cultural thing in China, Chinese don't like confrontation. They will find all ways to not confront each other in a direct and aggressive manner. So in this respect, the Chinese they will work very hard in your supplier relationship to avoid an ugly divorce, where there's a lot of arguing and fighting and bickering over who's going to pay for the final project that didn't work and who's going to pay the bills. And quite often in China, the supplier is happy to, if they really want to give up, they want to give up. They will even walk away from and leave money on the table. They will not worry about the last shipment they've sent you and let you just have it for nothing, because they prefer that than then have to have an argument and fight over the bill and have that disrespectful, aggressive end to the whole process. They don't like to admit defeat. They don't want to have that in their face. So be aware of this. You could end up in divorce. We have had quite a few end up in divorce, and quite a few have gone through almost this exact process. I always like to draw some similarities to help me understand and help some of my counterparts in Australia understand how things are working here. And this whole situation can be very similar to even a teenage boy. He's dating and he's got a girlfriend and they're really passionate and everything else. And quite often that teenage boy, when he wants to get out of the relationship, he just stops answering the messages. He will just avoid that confrontation because he can't handle that face-to-face argument with his girlfriend where she was going to bite him and attack him and abuse him. So the teenage boy, he will just walk away. He will hide. He won't answer the phone. He will try to ignore everything and hope she will go away. So you need to read it for what it is. You need to be aware of this. You need to look at the signs. You need to know when to walk away, when to give up your negotiating, and when to quickly go and second source, dual source, go and find a backup supplier if they're critical to your business. So you need to make that call. I can't give you that precise time, but if you're close enough to the relationship, if you're close enough to the concept of what this means to you and them, and reading all the signs and having more engagement and more discussions and more face-to-face communication, you will start to understand when this marriage, this relationship with a supplier is gone a bit too far and it can't be resolved, can't be brought back to its original. So we're going to have a divorce. Do we end that on a sad note? No. Here in China, we agree to disagree and we walk away and we just get on with life. We don't be bitter at each other, we don't hate each other. And we've had a couple of divorces here which, after a couple of years, the relationship's back again. And we didn't allow the late deliveries and the destruction that caused us. They let us have free product. They just didn't want to talk anymore. But a couple of years later, we found a new product we thought they could actually make really well. They could make more profit on. And we found they're happy to come back and be involved again and start the relationship again on a new footing and just forget the past. So I hope that's been a little informative. I hope you've enjoyed some of my discussion and my idea on what I see as a relationship in China. A lot of people will see this very different. Some people won't agree to many things I say. But I'm just giving you my feeling and my ideas. Mostly I'm trying to put this into more of a Western perspective. So more Westerners can understand a little bit better how the relationships work in China. All right, almost at the office now. Thanks for the drive to work. Thanks for joining me. I hope I see you again soon. If you like this video, please hit the like button, hit the bell so it reminds you when the next videos come online. And don't forget to subscribe. Catch you next time.